Hello and happy Sunday, beautiful people. It is so very good to be here with you on this Sunday morning as we gather together to celebrate the magnificence and significance of the presence and power of God operating in, through, and as you, in, through, and as us, each and every one of us. We're going to begin, as we always do, with a reading, and we'll take that reading into our prayer time. I'm going to be reading today from 365 Science of Mind, and this is the July 21st entry. I relax in the peace of God. We often wonder if peace really exists anywhere. In a world distraught with so much confusion and chaos, we deeply need an inner, abiding sense of calm and tranquility. Peace of mind really is what the world is searching after, because without it, we have only a sense of security, insecurity, and loneliness. Without peace, deep and abiding, there can be no happiness or contentment, no sense of security, no confidence. And yet Jesus said, "My peace I give unto you." And the apostle said, "The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus." This means that in such degree as we attain peace, Christ, or the anointed of heaven, the indwelling presence, makes itself known to us. For God is not met through confusion, but only when the mind is tranquil and, like an unruffled body of water, reflects the divine images of peace and perfection. Today I enter into the peace of God. My mind is stilled from all confusion, and I feel a deep and abiding inward poise. Christ, the child of the living God, the one begotten of the only God, is real to me. I keep my mind stayed on this divine inner presence, and letting every thought of discord slip away, I meet the reality of myself, the eternal and changeless truth about me, which is that I am an expression of God. I am one with God forevermore. There is no separation. There is no apartness. Here and now within me, there is a voice that says, "Peace, be still and know that I am God, God in me, around me, and through me, the divine forever incarnated and forever kept in the bosom of the Mother Father presence." I glorify the name of God. I exalt God's presence. I am that which thou art. Thou art that which I am. And that which I am and that which thou art is one and the same. I relax in the peace of God. And so from this place of awareness, I invite you to get still. Close your eyes as we move on up a little higher in consciousness. Together, let us take a conscious breath in and a conscious breath out. Let us take a deliberate breath in and a deliberate breath out. Let us take an intentional breath in and an intentional breath out. There is only one mind, only one power, only one presence that is working in all, through all, and as all. There is one life. That life is Mother, Father, God. That life is perfect, whole, and complete. And that life is my life now. That life is perfect, whole, and complete. And that life is your life now. That life is perfect, whole, and complete. And that life is all life now. It is a life of any and everything that we could name, see, or experience in manifested life. And it is that which is behind, back of, and underneath all that we could name or experience. It is, and it is right here, right now. For what I remember and know to be true is God, the all in all, this loving presence, neither comes nor goes. It is here and it is now. That means it is with you and within you at all times. It is with us and within us at all times, in all circumstances, in all situations, regardless of what's on the news reports, regardless of what's on your financial reports, regardless of how you may be feeling in your body. The presence and power of God is with you and within you now, with us and within us now. And as we rest in that reality, as we contemplate that reality, we remember that we are one with God and one of God. God in us, God through us, God as us. We are individualized, particularized, unique, undivided expressions of the all in all. We are God's good idea. And there is nothing that can separate us from this power, this presence, this love, this good. Absolutely nothing. Even when we are unaware, we are still connected. Yes. Even when we are in doubt and fear, we are still connected. Yes. Even when we are in pain, we are connected. Even when we are in despair, we are connected. There is nothing and no thing that can separate us from this power and presence that is God. We are intimately and intricately connected with the one, with the all in all. And it is from that connection that I speak right here and right now. It is from that connection that I affirm right here and right now. It is from that connection that I know right here and right now. As we gather together for the weekend service, we gather together to be illuminated, elevated, and electrified. We gather together to be turned on. We gather together to come face to face with the reality of who and whose we are. We gather together to expand our hearts and our minds. We gather together to integrate the metaphysical reality of the truth of who and what we are. We gather together to prosper and prosper some more and prosper some more and prosper some more in every area of our lives. Happiness, health, peace, plenty in our world. And so it is with much joy and thanksgiving that I now release this prayer. I release it back into the law, which is always in operation, knowing that the law is always responding and becoming according to the pattern of thought that we provide, according to where our focus is. Well, we have placed the focus of our attention on that which is good, that which is loving, that which is life-supporting, that which is healing, that which is beneficial. Therefore, all of these things and so much more must come into being as our lived lives and experiences. So with joy and thanksgiving, we say with confidence and expectation, amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
And so it is. Absolutely. Well, hello. Good morning. Happy Sunday. It is so very good to be here with you. I'm Pastor Greg.
I'm Pastor Yolanda.
And we are always glad to be in the number. We are always glad to be here on the weekend service to celebrate, to congregate, to be here together in community as we continue to grow in love and grow in understanding and grow in the expression of our prosperous birthright. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to move forward in this way, to welcome our first-time guests. Hello and welcome to our first-time guests. If this is your first time here, something or someone brought you to this stream, we're happy that took place, and we're happy that you're here, and we're confident that something will be done, something will be said that will support you in thriving and living an empowered life. You may have already seen it in the comments, because many people do, but you can feel free to shout yourself out. Let us know where you're connecting in from, your city, your state, your country. You may find that there is someone connected right here and right now in the same space that you are. That's not a requirement, but what we would love you to do is to access the information you see here on your screen. This is how you access your digital connection card. And all you have to do is text the keyword welcome to that phone number, 347-472-1078. Again, that's 347-472-1078. Just the keyword welcome, and you'll receive a response with a link. That link takes you to the digital connection card. Click that link, enter your info. We just need your name and your email, and then submit that, and you're all set. You'll actually receive another message that says you're all set. And from that point, you'll be on our mailing list. You'll receive our weekly newsletter that goes out on Fridays, and all other information that we share about CSC to keep you abreast of what's going on. But what we love to say here at CSC is the first time you come, you're a guest, but when you come back, you're family. So we welcome you to the CSC family. We welcome you to the CSC community. And again, we're confident that something powerful will be experienced in your life today that will support you in thriving and living an empowered life. So from this place of awareness, this is a wonderful moment for us to move into our news and updates so that we can move forward with the meditation, with our Healing Sunday prayer, and of course, with this week's masterclass. It is the fourth Sunday, which means it is Healing Sunday. What is Healing Sunday? Healing Sunday is where we hold a specific and intentional prayer around healing for any and everyone in our community, any and everyone who may be standing in proxy for someone in your life. There is still time to send this out, text this link to the stream to someone, post it on social media, let people know if they're in need of healing. This is the space that you want to be in. Prayer works. It is working at CSC. Healing happens, and it is happening at CSC. And so we're grateful to continue to hold this and host this intentional space, and we're grateful to see and know that our collective knowing is creating a great power, and it is out picturing in the lives of so many in our community and those that are connected to our community through each and every one of you. Now, if you have a prayer request, you can send that prayer request into prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. We are always holding the entire community in our hearts and our minds, and we recognize that you may have a specific prayer request for yourself or someone else. So we encourage you to send that in again to prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. We also would love to hear from you as your prayer is answered, as there's a shift, as there's a prosperity report, as there is a miracle. You can send an email to that same address and let us know how prayer is working in your lives. Every Wednesday morning, we gather together for the Momentum Prayer Call. That's Wednesday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Momentum Prayer Call is a perfect way to begin your day in the middle of the week, starting with intention, starting with affirmation, knowing that, as I love to say, that God is paying attention to what we're paying attention to. And so when we put the focus of our attention on that which is loving, that which is beneficial, that which is life-supporting, life-giving, and healing, that must outpicture in beautiful, profound, and prosperous ways in our lives. Now, if you're unable to make the call live for whatever reason, every prayer is recorded. So you can use the playback number, enter the access code, and wait, and the most recent prayer will play. That's available 24/7. And so whenever you find yourself in the need of prayer, whenever you find yourself in the need of some momentum, you can always use that playback number to hear the most recent prayer. Now, we are in masterclass mode. Today, we're going to be studying chapter 8. But if you're just joining us, you heard me mention the masterclass, and you're like, what is that about? Well, we're studying Open Your Mind to Prosperity by Catherine Ponder. We encourage you to get the book, but it's all good if you don't have the book right now, because we'll actually be sharing it on the screen and moving through the text line by line. But again, you definitely want to have the book in your library for continued study throughout the masterclass and for future study and reference as you continue to apply and reapply the principles in the text. Our companion study series for this month is A Prosperous Mind. A Prosperous Mind, I believe this is from 2015. This sermon series really underscores so many of the prosperity principles that we're reading and studying from Catherine Ponder, because of course prosperity has always been central to the teaching here at CSC, recognizing that a prosperous mind creates a prosperous life. And so we encourage you to check out that sermon series. It's available on the homepage of our YouTube channel. Until today, you didn't believe prayer could do this, but you're about to find out what's really possible. There's a phrase we use all the time at CSC. It's a phrase that comes to us from Mama Iyanla Vanzant. Until today. Until today, I doubted. Until today, I feared. Until today, I didn't trust. Now, everything is shifting. Prayer becomes your foundation, your daily ritual, your portal into the life you actually want to live. And the good news, you don't have to do it alone. The next 4-week Affirmative Prayer Mastermind begins next week, August 6th. I want to say that again. It begins next week. We've been talking about this for a while and it felt far off, but it's starting soon. So this is your moment to say, until today, I didn't know I was this powerful. The Affirmative Prayer Mastermind registration is open. You can go to our website, celebrationsc.org/register to register. You can scan the QR code. It is a 4-week class beginning Wednesday, August 6th, and the investment is $97. I know that many folks wait until the last minute to register, and so time is moving, because class begins next week. So if you were on the fence, if you were thinking about it, if you were saying, oh, I'll get to it, registration closes next week. So you want to make sure that you reserve your seat today. And that concludes our news and updates for this Sunday, which means we now get to move into our time for meditation as we are led in the meditation experience with PY.
Yes, yes. It is definitely time for the meditation experience. I say that definitely because I feel like we were set up so beautifully with the opening prayer, the opening reading, the opening understanding about the importance of peace in our lives and it operating in our lives. And we get to take that opening and carry it forward in our momentum, in our rhythm, into meditation. Because our affirmative thought for this month is I allow peace and prosperity to come to me. As I've said before, many times it feels like people think of it, they're in opposition to each other, but they're not. They come from the same mind, the same understanding, the same energy, and we are entitled to both peace and prosperity. And so this month's affirmative thought reminds us, what is the posture we take around peace and prosperity? We simply allow them to be. We allow them to come to us. We allow them to be part of our lived experience. We allow them to move through us and then show up in our lives, reflected outward. I allow peace and prosperity to come to me. That allowing, easy. That signaling, come on in, peace and prosperity, easy. And we get to practice that in meditation. So let us do that today. For the meditation experience is our opportunity to do just that. Take the knowledge that we've gained, acquired, or believe to be true, and feel it alive within ourselves for ourselves. So let's do that, shall we? Bring your palms to the tops of your thighs and just settle into a receptive posture. Ears aligned over shoulders, shoulders over hips, and relax in the seat where you are. Allow the seat to hold you, whether it's a sofa or a chair, allow it to hold you. Again, there's that word allow. I allow the chair to hold me. I allow peace and prosperity to come to me. We're in that receptive posture now. And from this place of awareness, allow your eyelids to gently close. The simple act of closing the eyelids is all that is required to initiate the inward experience. And so let's just notice the breath and where our focus is now on the breath. And whether the breath appears to be deep or appears to be shallow, it matters not. For the breath is moving, and we are in gratitude for the breath and to the breath. Let's take that feeling of gratitude and the receptive posture and focus it deep in the low belly. We are in gratitude that the breath can move and is moving. And we are in gratitude that we get the opportunity to take conscious control of the breath whenever we choose and to send it wherever it is needed. So let's do that. Sending the breath deep into the low belly. We're going to inhale for a count of 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. And then just settle in, relaxing deeper and deeper in mind for 4. Let's begin. Inhale. Hold for 4. Relax the jaw, release the sound and the breath for 4. And sink deeper and deeper and deeper in mind. Again, inhaling deep into the low belly, dropping the breath nice and low. Hold for 4. Relax the jaw, relax the body, sigh it out. And since we're allowing the chair to hold us, sink deeper and deeper and deeper. Into and through the low belly, now up to the rib cage, expanding the sides of the body and the breath. Hold for 4. And sigh it out for 4. And again, inhale, connecting low breath to mid breath. Hold for 4. And sigh it out, releasing any tension as we release the breath for 4. And sink deeper and deeper and deeper. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage. We've expanded the sides, sending breath there. Now send breath to the front and the back. Hold it there. And without collapsing the body, release the breath, sigh it out. Sinking, settling deeper and deeper and deeper. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, now allowing the breath to connect to the heart chakra. Hold it there. Relax the jaw, sigh it out. And sink deeper and deeper and deeper. Let's find more room for that breath, inhaling into the low belly, up through the rib cage, up through and to the heart. Hold there. And sigh it out. Sinking deeper and deeper and deeper. We've activated the receptive posture. We are in the allowing position. Go ahead and scan your body and notice if there's any tension anywhere. And without judgment, send the breath there. We're going to slow the breath down even more. We're going to inhale for a count of 6. Hold for 6. And when ready, close the lips and exhale through the nostrils for 6. And then sink deeper and deeper and deeper for 6. As we do this, the body relaxes more and more, and we open more and more. Let's begin. Inhale. Hold. Close the lips and exhale through the nostrils, slowing it way down. And as we sink deeper and deeper, our body relaxes more and more. Take a few rounds of this slow inhale and exhale, letting the power of the breath lead. And if there's any tension anywhere, just send the breath there. Take a few rounds on your own. Beautiful, everyone. Keep that rhythm of breath going. Keep that relaxed state available. For as we do, we allow peace and prosperity to come to us. I will monitor our time. You take the inward journey. And if the mind wanders, it is okay. It's just doing what it does. When you become aware, and if you choose, bring yourself back to the affirmative thought. I allow peace and prosperity to come to me. And then let that feeling, that receptive nature to return and wash over you. I allow peace and prosperity to come to me. You allow peace and prosperity to come to you. We all allow peace and prosperity to come to us now. With our eyelids still closed, we just notice how our nervous system has responded and how good it feels when our breath and our energy and our intentions are set in this way. With our eyelids still closed, we remember peace is here now. With our eyelids still closed, we remember that prosperity is here now. And so we allow them. Let's begin our return. Nice and easy, maybe wiggling the fingers and the toes, signaling it is time. But we don't come back empty-handed. We come back connected, remembering, and then walking in that remembrance. Palms on the tops of the thighs. Inhale, draw the shoulders up by the ears. Exhale, releasing the shoulder blades back and down. Inhale up. Exhale, releasing the shoulder blades back and down. Nice and easy. Inhale up. Nice elongation and room for the breath. Exhale, release the shoulder blades back and down. Bring the palms together at heart center. And if you're able, bow the chin towards the fingertips. Noticing that opening. Noticing the flow of energy that continues. Base of the neck all the way down the spine. Allow the eyelids to gently open, finding a familiar focal point, soft gaze. Inhale, raise the chin, raise the gaze. Exhale, release the breath. Maintain the peace and the prosperity. Namaste.
Yes, yes. Namaste. Thank you, PY.
You're welcome.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it is Healing Sunday, which is every fourth Sunday is Healing Sunday. And we take this time to be intentional about healing in our community, knowing that there are many in our community and many that are connected to you that are in need of some type of healing, primarily physical healing, right? But also recognizing that there's all types of healing that's needed, emotional healing, financial healing, healing in relationships, etc. And so we are holding that space and speaking the word around healing collectively for each and every person in our community. If you're someone that is in specific need of healing, we're going to give you some instructions. And if you're someone who wants to stand in that space, knowing healing, knowing the divine plan for healing, then you will receive a set of instructions as well. But I want to share at least some of this reading from or maybe all of it, from Ernest Holmes. Again, this is 365 Science of Mind. This is from actually from yesterday. And I think the teaching here and what he is writing about is one of the things that's central to understand why healing is possible and why and how healing happens. And he starts by writing, all life is one life. Just as every physical substance known derives from one universal energy, so there is but one life principle, which is God, in which we all live and from which infinite source our individual lives are drawn. Right? So we know that at a physical level, DNA We're 99.9999999% alike. You and a iguana, right? And also every planet in the solar system, right? Although we look and experience ourselves as different, we are way more alike. And then at the metaphysical, spiritual level, this is true because there is one life. That life is God, right? If this one life is present everywhere, it is also within us. To say that the life of God is the only life there is means that my life is not only in God and of God and from God, it's God, it is God in and through me. If this were not true, I would have a life separate from God, which is unthinkable and impossible.
Yes.
Take a breath. This even goes to what I was speaking in the opening prayer, right? It would be impossible and unthinkable. And so then this is why we can affirm, as I was affirming in the opening prayer, this reality that wherever I am in my experience, in my emotions, God is right there where I am. But if it is true that the life of God is my life now, how wrongly I must have been thinking about this life. I have judged it falsely and condemned it unnecessarily, and in every way, shape, and manner, in my ignorance, I have denied the very thing I should be affirming. This is why we don't say things like life be lifing.
Yes, yes.
There is one life. That life is God, and that life is my life now. In God I live and move and have my being, and God lives in me and moves through me. I deny then that there is any life separate from good, and I affirm that every organ, action, and function of my physical body is animated by the divine life that created and sustains it. I take a lot of supplements. The supplements that I take are not what actually sustains me. Back of and behind my vitamin C is the one life. Back and behind of the omega-3 supplements that I take is the one life, yes. Right? Back and behind the multivitamins that I take in the morning and in the evening is the one life. It is that which creates and sustains it. It is this life that is circulating through me in happiness, in harmony, and with perfect rhythm. I am one with the whole. Therefore, I say to my mind, you are to live and think and feel this truth until it is spontaneous and natural.
Yes, yes.
And when you say God is my life, you are to know that the entire life of the divine and perfect presence is now flowing through you. Affirm this today. The life of God is the only life there is. That life is my life now, complete and perfect. And so when we pray, and specifically when we're praying for healing, what we are doing is fully and wholly turning our thoughts, our minds, and our attention on that reality that I just read from Ernest Holmes. Because when we do that, every organ, every cell, every function, every action of our physical body then begins to comply with that reality, begins to comply with that order. We're not trying to create something new that you aren't already that you don't already possess, right? That is not actually present within you, right? But we are actually revealing that which is in. I was thinking about the powerful and yet deceptively simple wisdom of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who teaches us water the root to enjoy the fruit. Now, if you have a plant in your home and the leaves are browning, you know what to do, right? You water the plant. But do you water the leaf that is browning? No, that would be silly. And if you saw somebody doing that, oh, this leaf is brown, so I'm pouring water on it because they said to water plants when they turn brown, right? You would, in watering the plant, what you're actually doing is watering the root. The root then takes that knowledge and information from the water and begins to create the healing from within that then expresses externally. And so this is what we do in prayer. So for those of you that are in need of healing, I invite you to you can just move into a receptive posture, opening your hands, right, which is symbolic of I am open to receive, I am open to receive, I am open to receive. And for those that want to hold space and stand in this absolute knowing, I invite you here and now to rub your hands together, get them nice and warm, create that energy. And then extend your hands forward to whatever screen or device you may be watching from, or just forward in the space that you're in, because there is no spot where God is not. So wherever you're extending, there's a connection that connects us all and binds us all to each other in beautiful and powerful ways. And so from this place of awareness, I then invite everyone to close their eyes. And let's take a conscious breath in and a conscious breath out. Sinking deeper in mind, we breathe in. And we breathe out. For a third time, because it feels so good, we breathe in. And we breathe out. In this moment, I start with gratitude, for I am grateful for the breath. I'm grateful for this free opportunity to remember that we are prosperous, for this free opportunity to remember that that which we desire is available to us, for this free opportunity to remember that my breathing in doesn't take away from your breathing in, and your breathing in doesn't take away from my breathing in, and our breathing in doesn't take away from their breathing in, and their breathing in doesn't take away from their breathing in, and their breathing in doesn't take away from their breathing in. And as we chose to take this conscious, intentional, deliberate breath, there was more available to us. Freely we receive, freely we give, freely we give, freely we receive. And I put the focus of my attention on gratitude for the breath, because just as close as our breath is, so is the healing presence and power of God. There is one mind, one power, one presence that is working in all, through all, and as all. There is one life. That life is Mother, Father, God. That life is perfect, whole, and complete. And that life is my life now. That life is your life now. That life is all life now. It is the life of everything that I could know or name. Yes, it is the life of the mountain and the trees and every sea and every river and every lake and every pond. It is the life of all the beings that inhabit this planet Earth, as well as the beings that inhabit any other planet and any other galaxy. It is the life of every planet, every star, every sun, every moon. It is the life of every molecule. It is the life of everything at the molecular level and at the macro level. It is the life of all, but more importantly, it is my life now and your life now. We are one with the one. We are one with this life. We are one with this power. We are one with this good that I call God, that I call Mother, Father, God. And today specifically, we are one with the healing power of God.
Yes.
You are one with the healing power of God. For as I know this to be true, I remember that we are one with God and one of God, that each and every one of us live, move, and have our being in God, and God lives, moves, and has its expression in, through, and as us. We are God's good idea. We are God's good idea. And that means we can never be separate from that which thought us into being. Oh my goodness. Just as you can never be separate from the thoughts that you think, the ideas that you hold, they will always be in you and within you. So it is true for the ideas that God holds. And God held an idea that was you and brought it into being. You can never be separate from the mind of God. You can never be separate from the thoughts of God. And God's thoughts are healing. God's thoughts are beneficial. God's thoughts are creative. God's thoughts are illuminating. God's thoughts are elevating. God's thoughts are enlightening. God's thoughts are constructive. God's thoughts are whole and holy.
Yes.
And so it is out of this awareness of recognizing who and what I am, who and what you are, and most importantly, who and what this power and presence of God that flows through us is. And so I declare right here and right now, you are healed by the power and presence of God in, through, and as you. Just as we recognize that we can water the root to enjoy the fruit, so right here and right now, we water the roots within us, and we allow the root, the water of truth, to move in, through, and as our being, to inform every cell, to inform every organ, to inform every physical action of our body. Wherever there is reconstruction needed, reconstruction happens. Wherever there is healing needed, healing is happening. Wherever there is restoration needed, restoration is happening. The revelation of a whole mind and a whole body is happening right here and right now. Wholeness in your mind, wholeness in your organs, wholeness in your cells, wholeness in your bones, wholeness in the marrow of your bones. Wherever there is a need for healing, it is happening right here and right now. We affirm, I am healed by the healing presence of God. I am healed by the healing presence of God. I am healed by the healing presence of God. And as we know this to be true, we now celebrate. As we know this to be true, we now operate in a place of absolute expectancy, knowing that the word that we speak can never return to us void, knowing that if we are willing to affirm this word, if we are willing to believe this word, if we are willing to know this word, if we are willing to live from this word becomes like food that nourishes our body and brings forth good things over and over and over again. And so with joy and thanksgiving, I now release this prayer. I release this prayer back into the law, which is always in operation, responding and becoming according to the pattern of thought that we provide. This word is healing. This word is constructive. This word is life-giving and life-supporting. Therefore, good life must manifest from it. Thank you for the healing. Thank you for the healing. Thank you for the healing. And from this place of awareness with confidence and absolute expectation, we say amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
So it is. And
So
so
it
it
is.
must be.
So it is.
Yes, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Well, welcome back because we're in masterclass mode, or we're going to be looking at chapter 8 today. If you're just joining us, we are studying Open Your Mind to Prosperity by Catherine Ponder this summer. You can get the book. It's available digitally. And of course, physical copies are available. You can get them on Amazon or anywhere else that you buy your metaphysical texts and spiritual books. As we prepare to move forward, I want to put this question up on the screen for those that may have missed it. We want to hear from you. Last week, we were talking about the divine plan and affirming the divine plan. And so I would love to hear what's one quick and peaceful manifestation that came forth in this past week as you began to affirm the divine plan, to the extent that you chose to affirm the divine plan. And so you can share that in the comments. It's always great to see that because we love to see not just PY and myself, all of us, we get to see the ways in which what we are learning and studying together is actually out picturing in the community and in your lives. So share what beautiful things came forth this week as you affirmed the divine plan. But of course, we're going to move forward here now and get into this chapter.
Chapter 8.
Yes, yes.
Chapter 7 was so good, but guess what? Chapter 8 is good.
I know. Yeah, we got to move on. We got to move on. I'll say this at the outset so that because I don't want to stop and start so much with this point because we've talked about it a lot in the preceding chapters. Catherine Ponder takes a very literal approach to biblical texts, right? The First and Second Testament, Old and New Testament. And, you know, sometimes that may be okay. We also recognize that, of course, she is interpreting the biblical text through a metaphysical lens, right, which is also helpful. But I want to say this at the outset because prosperity through the wisdom concept, she's going to mention Solomon a lot. And one of the things we have to understand, and I talk about this in the very first Reimagine the Bible series that we did at CSC, I think that sermon is called What's in Your Bible? That when we're reading the First Testament is broken up into several sections. And one of the sections is what we would call the writings. And so that's the book of Psalms, that's Proverbs, that's Ecclesiastes, that's the Song of Solomon, right? And these are really, they're literary texts, right? We shouldn't even think of them as one might think of scripture right, at sort of being instructional. These are literary texts that should be studied in the same way that we study texts like the Odyssey by Homer, right? And as the same way that we study Shakespeare. Do they have spiritual benefit? Absolutely. But I think first we have to understand that the Proverbs and the Song of Solomon are part of the writings. They're poems and literary writings. And now the other thing that's important is that particularly for Proverbs, it is said that Solomon wrote Proverbs, right? And that's just not true, right? On a bunch of levels. But one of the things that we know about this text, and again, I said this in that sermon, is that Proverbs is heavily influenced by ancient Egyptian wisdom, Kemetic wisdom. There's an ancient text called the Instruction of Amenemope, right? Amenemope didn't actually even write this text. This is more about the school of wisdom that this is then attributed to him in the same way that the Greek philosophers did the same thing, right? We read some of the work of Socrates that is quoting Plato, but it's written from the Platonic school. It's not that Plato actually said this. We see this further in the Bible. Isaiah is broken up into 3 sections. And so the first section of Isaiah was written by the prophet, but the second and third sections were actually written from the school of Isaiah, right? In the spirit of Isaiah. So when she says things, as she starts with this very first sentence, right? Solomon demonstrated prosperity through using the wisdom concept. We can too. It automatically takes us into this literal understanding about this person who really, in the context of the First Testament, Solomon is a character that represents and embodies wisdom, but it's not his and his alone. And I think it's very important to honor and name that the depth of this wisdom didn't originate with this man, but actually originated in ancient Kemet, originated with the Egyptians. And so that's what we're really reading and gleaning from when we take in this wisdom that's in Proverbs, which again, the wisdom of Proverbs is wonderful. The wisdom of Ecclesiastes is wonderful and beneficial. So at the outset, I want to share that, and because I think it's important. And again, I don't want to keep going back to that as we continue to read, because there are some very, very beneficial things here as it relates to the wisdom concept.
And I'd also like to just say what you just received is one of the things that PG is so great at doing, distilling, aligning, and reminding us where our focus should be in these sacred texts. It's one of the things that we love to do at CSC. And if you haven't watched the Reimagine the Bible series, you might want to just add that to something that you want to put on your list to do when you want to bring your mind back to prosperity or back to truth. Go back to those series because they're so good. And they also give you a foundation under which we operate,
Right.
and how we view the Bible.
Exactly.
We're not throwing it out. We're viewing it from this lens. And that's important. It might want to be your lens. It might not. But at least you'll understand the context under which we speak many times.
Absolutely, absolutely. Prosperity through the wisdom concept, chapter 8. Solomon demonstrated prosperity through using the wisdom concept. We can too. The word wisdom means knowledge. True wisdom is knowledge from within. It is an inner knowing. This is the kind of wisdom Solomon developed and which made him a multimillionaire. As he turned within and asked for guidance, he intuitively knew what to do about every situation that was presented to him. He became so clairvoyant about people and situations that he could see through them, quote unquote. They could not fool him. And again, this is lore, right? This is the folklore. This is the equivalent of a tall tale, right? I loved the tall tales as I was a child, reading about Johnny Appleseed and Paul Bunyan and John Henry and so many others, right? But we recognize that those stories are designed to teach us something or inspire something within us, although they might not be 100% factually true. Through listening to that inner knowing, he prospered mightily. As you read the book of Proverbs, you discover that he often affirmed riches for himself through the wisdom concept. In one of his most famous passages, he affirmed, "I have counsel and sound wisdom." Then he affirmed that inner knowing would do for what that inner knowing would do for him. Riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and prosperity. These affirmations contain prospering power for us as we use them too. And so again, as she's saying, he did not write, may not have even uttered these words, but we recognize that this is the wisdom concept, the wisdom school that's speaking. In this enlightened age, as we are learning to do as Solomon did, to turn within, ask for guidance, and follow through on that inner knowing that wells up from within us, this is wisdom that can prosper us mightily.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Several decades ago, I often would sit with a friend in daily periods of affirmation and meditation. Such an abundance of ideas for articles and books welled up within my thoughts during those periods that I have been busy trying to get them all into print ever since. I want to stop there because what she's alluding to, and I think one of the powerful things that comes forth with the wisdom concept, for those that are familiar with visioning, which is something that we teach and practice here at CSC, visioning is really what gave birth to CSC. This is what she's talking about, right? Without maybe a formalized process. And what's been coming up for me, and I'm looking forward to practicing this and leading this, is in using visioning and invoke the words of the divine plan, right? What is God's divine plan for my life, right? And instead of using the word vision, right?
I've been thinking about that too.
Yeah, right. And so this is what she was doing. And so I can say, as well as I read that line, I'm like, the things that came forth in visioning back in 2012 and 2013, right before CSC was opened, we ain't even done all of the things. Like we really literally have not, right? 12 years in. And so this is what's beautiful about the wisdom concept and learning to sit and listen for ideas. This is also something, it's famously said, Thomas Edison did the same thing, and Albert Einstein would take time every day to sit, to receive wisdom, right? They were operating in the same consciousness.
And it's beautiful to understand why now we don't usually operate this way. There's so many things drawing our attention away from this time. There's this belief that we got to get it done. We got to get it all done, that we sometimes forget to do this step daily. And it's important because otherwise you're just out there in the world operating. You may be connected to the wisdom and the divine plan, you may not be. And so it's important to come up with a process, which is what I've been thinking about too, that helps you do that daily.
Yeah. True education wells up from within. We are hearing much these days about the importance of education. The word educate means to lead out or draw out from within. I love the consistency here. Eric Butterworth talks about this in Spiritual Economics. He's actually quoting Dr. H.M. Lee Cady, who writes the same thing in Lessons in Truth, right? The word educare or educare, right? It means to bring out, to draw out. This is one of the reasons why our education system is flawed. Because our education system they're trying to put things in the kids, not honoring all of the different ways that we think and learn and process information. If we would honor that, then we could then draw out the brilliance and the best from every child, right? Absolutely. And that's literally what the word means, to lead out or draw out from within.
As opposed to try to manipulate and control the minds of those children.
Lord have mercy. One New Thought writer has predicted that the new education will well up from within. This is the kind of education system that has prospering power and can lead a person to true success. The people of the East have long known that true wisdom lies within the individual and that it wells up from within when given an opportunity to do so. They have practiced prayer and meditation as methods for contacting this wisdom within them for centuries. Their meditation practices have now come to the attention of the Western world, and in the last few years, increasing numbers of people have become fascinated with the power and practice of meditation. And of course, at the time of this writing, it may have been new. I think we're in this space now where we've really reaped the benefits of all of that interest, right? And there's a normalizing around meditation in a way that has never been before in previous centuries. Years ago, it was reported that more than 25,000 college students were meditating every day. That figure would doubtless be much higher today. Obviously, the prediction that New Thought writer made decades ago is now coming true. Those in the field of education are realizing that true education wells up from within, and they are encouraging the ancient method of attaining wisdom through meditation. This is beautiful because what happens when we meditate? In meditation, we contact God, right? Now, that word God, it doesn't mean we contact a being. We contact that one life, one power, one presence, that thing, the unified field, that thing that is the source of all, right? And from which everything is given birth. And so when we contact that space and that place, that is the realm of everlasting ideas, infinite ideas. That's where all springs from, right? And so I think one of the reasons we see out here the surface world that they're constantly redoing and remixing and doing all the same stuff is because they don't contact this field from which a new expression and a new idea can come, right? I love hip hop. I have produced hip hop, worked on a lot of records. All of that's true. But I love what my mentor, James Mtume, said. You can only sample the past, right? And so there are new ideas. It's like even in the sampling, what originally happened in the practice of sampling, that was a God idea. Right, what actually happened and how the get down was found, right, and the creation of the modern turntables as we know it, those were God ideas because that was something that didn't exist before, right? So it's important that in meditation we understand that that's what we're doing, right? That we're contacting God, and in doing that, automatically what also starts to happen is healing in our body. There's we normalize that sense of what it feels like to be in that space so that we can come back to that place when we need to if we get dysregulated out in the world. All of those things.
Yeah, that's why I say that in our meditation experience all the time.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing that is also reinforcing for those of us who haven't been consistent in our meditation, why you should be consistent in your meditation. It's you're not doing it for us or what we say. You're doing it for the benefits that you will reap in terms of accessing your inner wisdom. And it doesn't have to take all day, but if you never begin, then you never reap the benefit. And so start with the 5 minutes of contacting. And what this means is it's different than other ways people think of meditation. You're not there contemplating. You're contacting.
Yes.
Contemplation is fine. You can take something into that space and let an answer come forth, but that is not the same thing.
Right.
They're two different functions. So just make sure you're doing you're aligning your form of meditative time with this idea and use the other contemplative idea for some other time.
How the wisdom concept prospers. Perhaps you are thinking, but I need prosperity and success now. I do not have much time for the practice of meditation, nor can I wait years to perfect that method of getting wisdom in order to be prospered. Surely there must be a shortcut. We are always looking for shortcuts in our microwave generation. In a sense, there is, by using the wisdom concept. Like Solomon of old, many a successful person has used this method and has become exceedingly prosperous. Since the word wisdom means knowledge from within and the word concept means a thought, idea, or notion, you can begin practicing the wisdom concept by dwelling upon the thought, idea, or notion of an indwelling intelligence. Contact. This is simple to do, though its results are often profound. You can begin using the wisdom concept and reap its benefits by realizing that all around you and within you, there is a power which you can begin to tap at any time, from which will flow ideas and energy that can transform your life. This power comes alive within and around you as unlimited wisdom and guidance by your simply paying attention to it, recognizing its presence, and asking its help. It's as simple as that. Again, I want to bring you back to visioning, because what happens in visioning, right? This is what's so beautiful. It's the genius of what Reverend Michael brought to us, that by putting the focus of our attention on a loved one, right? Recognizing the presence and power of love that is, right, in your life, you've actually experienced. And then you begin to expand and recognize that right here and now, where you are sitting in a field of unconditional love, which that is the presence and power of God. And then you enter into the conversation because you can tap into that anytime. And then it says, and you recognize his presence and you ask for help. I love the acronym for help that Reverend Michael gives us. Hello, eternal loving presence. Write that down if you don't have that in your notes, or if you're hearing that for the first time. Right? So when you ask for help, what you're doing is acknowledging and entering into a conversation with the eternal loving presence that is the presence and power of God.
And when you initiate that conversation, the answers come out in the world, in your, when you're in your daily life. Because you've accessed the field, you're living in the field, you're moving in the field, then the answers have to come where you are.
Right. This is, again, it goes back to that wisdom of Maharishi. Water the root to enjoy the fruit, right? So when you water the root, then the leaf that was brown, it changes externally. Again, that's the other thing that we miss. I'm so glad that you said that, right? That it's out in lived life that then the conversation is happening, the answers are showing up. You may get a download, you may get an aha moment, right? In that space of meditation, in that space of quiet contemplation. But know that you're in this conversation and it's going to show up outside.
It has to.
Yeah.
It has to. And that's another beautiful benefit of meditation that I think sometimes does get overlooked, is that you're not just sitting down and that's the only place that the insight and the connection is. It has to go with you once you leave that meditative space.
Right. Yep.
And so then when you arrive at conclusions or answers out in the world, they're not coincidences the way we think of them.
Right.
They're just divine interconnectedness of where you were in meditation and how you live in the world.
And because you've made that conscious contact, then you're not second guessing what comes up as well, right? You're not overthinking it, right? All of those things. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay. The important thing is to realize the ever-present existence of this power and ask its help often. Again, help, hello, eternal loving presence.
And not desperation help,
Right.
not help.
Right.
I mean, you can do that, but that's not what it's talking about. It's like, if I'm in this place of fear, doubt, and worry, I need help to remember that I'm connected to something, that I'm never separate from answers, that I'm never separate from source. So that's why help, that acronym makes so sense. I'm like, oh, hello.
Right.
Hello, eternal loving presence.
Right.
You have got to be here now.
The difference between many $12,000 a year person and a $50,000 a year person is that the latter knows about this power, has asked its help, and has gotten it, whereas the former has not. When the world-renowned Einstein was asked the secret of his success, he replied, "It is the result of intuition and inner knowing," right? Because he sat for ideas. Realtor becomes millionaire through wisdom concept. A man in the real estate business told me how learning about the wisdom concept transformed his life. He had worked very hard for very little until he learned of this universal power and its prospering power. He began spending a few minutes early every morning, deliberately inviting this universal wisdom to give him guidance about his real estate transactions. Again and again, ideas began to flow to him from within about what to do and what not to do. Soon after beginning this daily practice, he felt guided to buy a certain piece of property for $20,000 and did so. Because of an inner urge to keep this property as an investment rather than resell it, he did just that. A few years later, he sold the same piece of property for $250,000. This property now houses a multi-million-dollar shopping center. In describing the prospering power of the wisdom concept, this man said to me, "I am a truth student of long standing. I have become a millionaire through turning within every morning, asking for guidance about my financial affairs, and then following through on the ideas and opportunities that came, regardless of what other people thought I should or shouldn't do. I am convinced that true wisdom comes from within and contains the greatest prospering power there is."
Absolutely.
So powerful. So
And I
powerful.
love that. Well, we've done meditations on the prospering power of God. It's right there. It's right there within each of us. Now, we don't say that someone who is experiencing poverty in their finances doesn't have access to or isn't connected to. We're saying how it feels in this person's perspective when they are connected to the prospering power.
Right. Right.
We would never judge someone's position in life or standing, right? That's not helpful. That's actually ego. That wouldn't be understanding or beneficial. What we're saying is it begins to make sense when you're operating this way, where the prospering power is and how it operates in your life.
Right. Yeah. How a dentist prospers through the wisdom concept. True wisdom reorients the individual from within. Again, there's that thing. Again, we understand this when it comes to plants, right? It reorients the plant, right? It grows taller, wider, greener, brighter. That which was brown turns back to green, et cetera, right? True wisdom first expands one's mind and then it expands one's world as the individual listens to its guidance. Some of these sentences are so powerful by themselves. You could take this and run and live off of that sentence.
Yeah, I have that one highlighted as well.
Right? True wisdom first expands one's mind.
Which equals one's capacity.
Right. So see, a lot of times you hear something and you're trying to run out and do stuff before your mind has been expanded.
Yep.
True wisdom first expands one's mind, right? And then it expands your world, right? What you focus on is what it expands, right? Where you're focused, that's what's out picturing in your life. And then as the individual listens to its guidance, right?
Yep,
so you could have the expansion, right, of your mind, but then are you listening? Right? That's why it's so beautiful what this man said. He was like, and I follow through on the ideas and opportunities that came regardless of what other people thought I should or shouldn't do. Right? You're no longer looking to anyone, your friends, your girlfriends, whoever, anybody for validation of, well, do you think this is a good idea? If you're using the wisdom concept and received the inference, the notion, the nudge, the idea, one alone in consciousness with the divine is a complete majority.
Absolutely.
That's Ernest Holmes. That's not my quote. Ernest Holmes.
And the other thing about this, it may take some time for you to first recognize that this is the inner wisdom. And so that's part of that expansion of the mind, is to recognize, oh, wait, is this me? Is this me thinking that this is a good idea? Or is this inner wisdom being expressed? It may take some time. Yeah. But once you do it and you make note of it again and again and again, that you can trust that what's coming up for you is wisdom, inner wisdom, the easier it will be to follow. Right? If this is new, or you sometimes listen and sometimes you thought you were listening and you was out there doing stuff and the result was not good, you know that wasn't inner wisdom.
Yeah.
And it's not to judge. That's just to let you know that you begin to take stock of what really is inner wisdom and what's your own desire for it to have a certain outcome. And they're not the same necessarily. They can be the same, but usually at the beginning, they're not.
Yeah. Another true student was a young dentist who learned of the prospering power of the wisdom concept. Early in his practice, he struggled to survive professionally and financially. Then, through his study of truth, he learned of this universal power within and around him, which would respond to his thinking about it and asking its help. Hello, eternal loving presence. This he began to do daily in early morning times of quietness. Also, he often silently asked its help as he went about his day. I got to say this.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I got to say this because, right, one of the guiding principles of CSC is daily spiritual practice is not an option. The reason being is because we recognize that if you do not have a daily intentional moment of quietness, right, where you are in contact with the wisdom concept, as she says here, right, then you're going to miss out on all of these opportunities to prosper. So that habit must be developed. You can't get away from it. We read it in the earlier story. We've just read it now. So many others have talked about this thing, right? So it's important to understand that he began to do daily in early morning times of quietness. It's how you start your day matters.
And also, I love the other part of what she's saying here. Also, he often silently asked help as he went about his day. So it's not that source leaves you, but you sometimes need to reconnect to it at those moments like, oh, wait, I do this all the time, and I instruct my coaching clients to do this before you make the phone calls. Okay, so you've had your morning practice. So you started off grounded and you move through your day. Before you make the phone calls, before you write the emails, before you have the conversations, just check in, check back in, because Source has never left you.
Right.
That inner wisdom has never left you.
Right.
But you might have gotten distracted.
And it's inevitable just because of the way our external world works, right? There are all these things that pull our attention, and we forget that we're connected to something greater than things that out here that appear to be great, right? And have a wonderful impact and are enjoyable. This life is incredibly enjoyable. But we have to, do certain things that bring us back, right? We've talked about tips like have gratitude moments in my schedule, right? In short 5 to 10 minute blocks, right? Scattered throughout the day. And then I get the reminder that reconnects me, right? Even if I read the reminder, sometimes that might be all I have time to do. Ideally, I want to take the time to stop and actually think about, name something that I'm grateful for right in that moment. It brings you back. It brings you back to that connection.
And before we move on, one of my favorite things to do, and I still do this to this day, comes from A Course in Miracles. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom would you have me say it? Those lines for me are meaningful because it makes me realize I'm tapping back into the wisdom in everything I do. I do it to this day before I get on live stream. I do it before I start a coaching call. It's just that thing for me that is my help idea.
Yeah.
Right? So find that thing for you that in the moment that you easily access so that you can tap back into the wisdom. And we're not wrong because we get out here and start operating. We're saying, oh, wait, my power position is from infinite wisdom. That's my power position in anything I say, do, or think, or how I interact. My power position is infinite wisdom.
And so he asked that divine wisdom, he asked that divine wisdom to show him how to expand his dental practice so that he could help more people. The affirmation he used was, "Within me is the wisdom of the ages. That wisdom now shows me how to expand my practice and my world. That wisdom now shows me how to prosper as I help others." Soon after he began deliberately and directly asking for help, a business associate suggested that this dentist install 6 chairs in his office rather than only the 2, and that he invites several young dentists to come work for him on a percentage basis, allowing them to use his equipment. He did so, and this made it possible for these young doctors to get into practice immediately without the usual financial strain attending one just starting out. It also made it possible for this young dentist to share in their income and practice. The method worked very well as all involved became prosperous and successful thanks to the wise guidance that came to this man through a friend after he asked divine wisdom to show him what to do.
And I love the mutually beneficial nature of this example. Yes, he profited. Yes, his income grew, but he also supported other people with their prosperity. So this inner wisdom always thinks in multiplicity and how it can benefit more than you. I love it.
Yeah, I always say it's one of the hallmarks of God ideas, right? When just, one person or one group is benefiting, then it's probably not a God idea. Probably not, right? But what we see when we can start to name and see the ripple effects, and that's different than trickle down economics, right? Because that's foolishness. They tried to sell that like it was a God concept, right? But you start to see the ways that it really does benefit all whom it affects, right? It's so beautiful, so beautiful.
So much goodness in this chapter.
Dress designer goes from poverty to affluence. There once was a woman who became a noted dress designer, but who, a few years previously, had been living in poverty, struggling to support herself and an elderly parent. Then she learned of this universal wisdom that was within and around her. She began to set aside a certain time every day. There it is again, y'all. during which she got quiet and invited this power to give her guidance about her life. She said that when she first began this practice, nothing much happened. She would find herself thinking about her debts and all her troubles.
That can happen.
But as she daily practiced getting quiet anyway, right? This is important. That is why I highlighted those 3 words. Getting quiet anyway. Sometimes I know I'm talking to somebody right now, right? You may have felt discouraged because you feel like things aren't coming or things didn't happen or you tried these practices. There is a persistence that's necessary, right? This is the getting quiet anyway. I'm reminded of the Secret Sauce series, A Recipe for Transformation, that's available on our YouTube channel. But the closing sermon there, nevertheless, she persisted, is about that, what persistence really is. And so I love that this is just embodied, just subtly here in this story. Getting quiet anyway, it got easier. That's important. Right?
It does get easier. As someone who's, been doing meditation and practices it does get easier. But it does require a little settling and a consistency and a persistence. Now, this is not struggling and grinding and hustling. That's not what we're talking about in terms of persistence. Right?
First, she began to feel more peaceful. First manifestation. As the worry and fear subsided. Next, she began to gain a sense of power and dominion over her thoughts, her feelings, and her world. This goes back to, again, expanding the mind, right? Then you expand your world, right? Once you begin to develop power, dominion over your thoughts, your feelings, right? Then you begin to operate in a power position, right? You've moved out of a victim consciousness into a manifestor consciousness on your way to a through me consciousness.
The other beautiful thing about this dominion over your thoughts is then you don't take any thought about yourself or thoughts you believed too seriously. You recognize that these are thoughts and I can choose to believe them or not. And that's really important as you move about this journey. Dominion doesn't mean, oh no, I don't want to think that. It means, that was an interesting thought. But it doesn't dictate your actions. It's like, I still think that. Right. There's something to work on. There's something to release. We don't beat ourselves up or judge ourselves because of the thoughts we begin to identify. Right. That's not taking dominion. That's being afraid of the power of your mind.
Right. This led her to realize that she could cope with her problems. Then, in one of those quiet times, she began to think strongly about a certain business acquaintance whom she contacted. He offered her a job as a dress designer. She knew very little about dress designing, but she accepted the job anyway, feeling that divine wisdom would show her how to handle it. Daily in her quiet time, she would ask divine wisdom to reveal to her all that she needed to know about designing dresses. Knowledge and ideas flowed to her. As those original ideas came, she acted upon them, and her career was assured. This woman went from poverty to soul-satisfying affluence simply by asking divine wisdom to show her what to do. Okay, I'm looking at the time, maybe one more section, maybe 2 more. How a man prospered from using scrap tin. So often greater good has not come into our lives because we have not asked for it. Right? We have not asked to be shown how to claim it. Wisdom expands the mind. When you ask divine wisdom to reveal greater good to you, it does so by first expanding your mind and then your world through the ideas it gives you.
Right.
It was the multifaceted genius Walter Russell, who had no formal schooling, who once said, "I have faith that anything can come to one who trusts to the unlimited help of universal wisdom." Oh, that's so true.
Right. And that's another reason why you don't have to know the how. The how's not your business.
That's why. Yeah. A man who heard about the prospering power of the wisdom concept decided to prove it first in a small way. In a conversation with a friend, he said he believed divine wisdom could show him what to do about any problem. The friend challenged him by saying, "There's a pile of scrap tin which is about to go to the garbage can. It looks useless to me. Why don't you ask divine wisdom to show you what you could do with it?"
See?
He accepted the challenge. Presently, there came into his mind the picture of a little matchbox. He began to cut and bend the tin, and he had soon shaped a matchbox from it. Calling to him a small boy who was passing by, he asked the boy if he would like to sell the matchbox for 25 cents and receive a profit of 10 cents from the sale. The boy was delighted and soon sold the matchbox. He then got busy selling others that the man made. Soon both man and boy had made a nice profit from that pile of tin, which had seemed destined for the garbage can.
There's so much in there.
Yeah.
So much in there.
So much good. So much good. So I want to bring us to a couple thoughts, a couple things as we close out. First of all, as always, if you have questions, please send those questions in to Truth Sunday at celebrationsc.org. We are happy to incorporate some of those questions. If they're of more of a personal nature, we'll just answer them directly. But that always benefits everyone. Complete this chapter, read and reread this chapter again. Don't move forward, right? Stay right here. This is week 8, right? We're on the wisdom concept. And so if you feel the urge to move forward, that's actually an indication that you need to either reread the current chapter or previous chapters.
Yes.
Right?
And check in with yourself about that urge to move forward. Because you keep training that in your nervous system. I gotta move, I gotta do, I gotta. That's the way you're going to operate and view everything, even spirituality, is that I got to move ahead.
Yeah.
We're doing this on purpose and intentionally, line by line, chapter by chapter, so that it sinks in, so that we can live with the text, so that we get to practice this way of being.
And so one of the other things I think that's interesting about this chapter is she calls it the wisdom concept. And she talked a little bit about what a concept is. There's something there that's, I think, beautiful and profound, right? So the word concept is completely related to the word conceive, right? And so when we think about the practice of meditation, the practice of going within, the practice of listening from within, right? This is about accessing the feminine power of us,
Yes.
right? Right, absolutely, right? We know as humans, right? We were conceived in the womb. That's where the concept happens. That's where all the cells split from two organisms that become trillions of trillions, right? To the realm of ideas, right? It's all right there. As above, so below. As below, so above. That's the correspondence. It's all right there. The wisdom concept. Go to the womb. Right? That's what you're being invited to do, right? Go to if you want to use the metaphor of the earth, right? This is why earth is called Mother Earth. But I mean, literally the ground, the soil, right? Where does the seed go, right? It goes into the ground, which is another representation of the feminine, right? And it is the ground that has all of this wisdom, that knows how to nurture and has all of the nutrients necessary for that seed to become what it's become. But then it's so strong that it can hold every tree that exists on this planet. There's enough room for all of the roots for it to continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. Trees are older than any human that's ever walked the face of the earth, right? Trees have seen humans come and go over and over. They ain't worried about us, right? We come and go, and they stand tall, right? And it's the ground, it's the earth, it's the wisdom concept that is strong enough to hold all of that, hold all of those ideas, give birth to all of those ideas. So know that that's the space that you're accessing. You know, I've said it before many times, right? The masculine is impotent without the feminine, right? That it's necessary. We celebrate so many men on this planet, but what I know to be true is that at some level, they learned how to access the feminine. That's where Steve Jobs got all his ideas from. That's where Albert Einstein, right? And so many others, right? That's where we access genius. So again, as you're sitting with the wisdom concept and conceptualizing that space for yourself, know that that's what you're doing.
Beautiful, beautifully stated.
Yes. And so in this moment, it is time for giving. Giving here at CSC is very easy. It's very simple. You can, of course, go to our website, celebrationsc.org/give, or you can text your dollar amount to 347-744-9500. There is a $10 minimum to text to give. It is also very easy and very simple to give here at CSC because we teach giving in a very simple yet profound way. As you give, you receive. That does not mean the amount you give, you will receive. It means that what is the thinking behind your giving? In your financial giving, in your interactions with your colleagues at work, in your interactions with friends, in your interactions with family. As you give, you receive, right? So as you sacrifice, you will receive the pain of sacrifice.
And resentment.
Right, and right. As you rob Peter to pay Paul, you will receive all of the angst and despair that comes from robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it never works out, and then you keep trying to do it over and over and over and over again. Right? We put the focus of our mind and attention on this presence and power that we call God. God is my supply, an abundance of everything now. Right? That's one of the Catherine Ponder affirmations that we've learned in this masterclass. When I put the focus of my attention there, that means that as I am giving my $100, God is my supply and abundance of everything now. I know that not only will this $100 come back to me in financial ways and in monetary ways, but it will come to me in all of the ways that I desire to experience abundance and prosperity, abundance of everything now, because God is my supply. And that's what I'm giving from. I'm giving from this internal, never-ending storehouse. As I give, I receive. I must. Right? Notice there's no might there. There's not a you may receive.
I could receive.
You receive. Right? As you give, you receive. And so when we give from that place of awareness, when we give from that consciousness, then we can all affirm this truth confidently. All the money that I circulate.
All the money that I circulate.
Returns to me multiplied.
Returns to me multiplied.
In a never-ending cycle.
In a never-ending cycle.
Of increase. And enjoyment.
And enjoyment.
To that we say amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
So it is. Well, we have a few more chapters left in our masterclass, studying Open Your Mind to Prosperity. Again, we encourage you, read and reread the chapter, come back to this live stream and hear our words and our insight as we've shared it from this chapter. And also, again, if you feel that urge to move forward, that might actually be an indication that there's some more work to do in what you've already read. Again, we talked about it. Right. First, expand your mind. Right. So there's a lot of information in chapters 1 through 8. Expand your mind and then listen. Like, what is mine to do based on this information?
Right. You asked that one question after reading and rereading each chapter. You would go to another level of an understanding and integration. Right? Because that's a love-based question.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So please know that we love and appreciate each and every one of you. We trust that you will have an amazing rest of your Sunday and an even better week. We look forward to gathering together on Wednesday for the Momentum Prayer Call. Again, remember, the next Affirmative Prayer Mastermind starts next week. It starts next Wednesday, and registration closes next week. So if you've been thinking about being a part of this class, thinking about wanting to learn how to pray, and also being in a space that will support you and praying for yourself as you pray with and for others, I'll share more next Sunday, but so many powerful, wonderful things have happened: healing, homes, jobs, you name it, peace of mind. It is happening and has happened as a result of those who were willing to be a part of the mastermind. So I look forward to you all joining us. You can go to our website to register. Have an amazing, amazing day, an amazing rest of your week. All right. Bye for now.
Bye for now.